Hello everyone, I'm Tony Chan. Welcome to this grammar trick number 13-1st, an introduction on declarative content clause, and it's sentence type 7. So let's get started. What is a subordinate clause? Well, it's a group of words containing a subject and a verb, and it's got complete meaning. And it's embedded within a main clause or matrix clause. So we have two types, dependent and independent. And declarative content clause is of the dependent subordinate clause. And for a dependent clause, we have finite and non-finite. And for sentence type 6, catenative structure, we have learned a lot about non-finite clause. So, finite clause. This is one type of finite clause. Let's check subordinate clause. Okay, there is a kind of marking. So the that, subordinate that, is a kind of marking for a declarative content clause. So it is clear, and this is the real body of the subject, and the dummy pronoun it is a dummy subject, and this is a specifying be, and this is a very short subjective PC, SPC. So in this case, subordinate that is optional. You can use it, or you don't have to use it. They connected all those she pointed out missing in her testimony. So that's a typical characteristics of a relative clause. Relative clause, a kind of subordinate clause. Werner's asking how many mirrors we will want. Asking is taking a declarative or interrogative content clause. So, how? Kind of marking for interrogative content clause. And we will, okay, subject, auxiliary, no inversion, a kind of marking that indicates is a subordinate clause. And it's a interrogative content clause. So this is kind of marking, and again, this is a kind of marking. But this one, subordinate, its function is only marking. Yeah, here is something missing. And this kind of marking and function provides an interrogative function. And it's provide subject, auxiliary, so it's got function and a kind of marking. Types of dependent subordinate clauses. For new grammar, there are three kinds of dependent subordinate clauses, and especially for finite clause, there are three kinds of finite clause. First one, content clause. Yeah, think can take a declarative content clause, and this subordinate is optional. You can use it or you don't have to use it. Among the people who have been contacted, relative clause, and this is acting as a subject, and it cannot be omitted. You can use that, and you've got to use that. You should keep that. You cannot omit that. So you can use who, or you can use that, but you cannot omit it. More people claimed than had been contacted. Typical comparative clause. Yeah. For the first 40 videos, 13-1-40, we will be covering content clauses. And the next 40 videos, relative clause. And then the next 40 videos, comparative clause. So stay tuned. So examples, yeah, declarative content clause. This verb can take a declarative content clause. It's pretty short, so that is optional. This is the book that was pointing at, okay, something missing. So that's typical for a relative clause. I made a mistake in giving him my phone number. Okay, preposition is taking a gerund. That's a noun finite. It's like a noun phrase, acting as a complement for a preposition. So noun finite content clause. It's content clause? Yeah, because a preposition can take a content clause. Yeah, relative clause, not a content clause. Relative clause, comparative clause, and content clause. These are three kinds of new grammars, finite clauses. So, for declarative content clause, there are four types: declarative, close interrogative, open interrogative, and exclamative. So, this is original a declarative. Verna is in sentence. So, we put this, and let it become a subordinate clause. It says optional that because it's a communication verb, and it's short, only 4, 3 without the S, only 3 characters, very short. So, subordinator optional. So a question, okay, so we just use whether. This is a kind of subordinator that can make this sentence become a closed interrogative. So open interrogative. Put it here, tell me, okay, tell is the verb that can take a open interrogative. Water is a verb that can take closed interrogative. Yeah. For an exclamative, okay, tell can take an exclamative. Yeah. Then subordinator that, okay. 3 kinds. Obligatory, okay, let's check. Yeah, for in subject, we've got to use that. That I need love is clear. Inadmissible, let's check. Yeah, for preposition, then that is not allowed. You've got to use this way. You cannot use that here. Optional, okay, I think, yeah, pretty short. 5 letters, that is optional. Also for say, 3 letters, that is optional. So, a content clause can do these functions. For subject, okay, that, you've got to use that. It's mandatory to use that subordinated that. Yep, this same sentence, if we move the subject to the end of the clause, that's called extrapose subject. Extrapose subject. Yeah, this is a verb. This is a verb. Sorry, a verb. That's called belongs to this group of words that can take a declarative as a subject. That the group is called other verbs. Other verbs that can take a declarative content clause as a subject. So we can move this subject to the end and make an extrapose subject. Clause construction. And for a content clause to be the internal complement of a verb, let's check. And realize, okay, realize, yep. That can take content clause as its complement. Yeah, internal complement, yep. She informed me that, okay, informed, yeah. An object and then content clause. Yeah, in this case, that cannot be omitted. This one it's pretty common, cognitive type of words. That were 7 letters, 8 letters, were pretty short. 7 letters, pretty short and common. So that is optional. But in this case, there's something in between the verb and the complement. So we've got to use that. If there's something in between them, we've got to use that. The problem is that, okay, be verb can take a that content clause, no problem, because of the be verb. And especially the noun, the subject is problem, yeah. Because problem, when it's been used as a noun in other situations, the problem that, yeah, pretty common. This noun can take that clause as its complement. For example, the problem here, if the problem is here, the problem that, well, that's possible. But here we are using fact. Fact can take, the fact is a noun that can take a declarative content clause as its complement. A noun can take, an adjective can take, and preposition can take. And this preposition is very special because the that is optional, provided that or provided you're careful. So, 3 and in fact 3 and 2, 8 situations. The declarative content clause can function on these 8 situations. And mandative. Okay, mandative clause is a kind of declarative content clause. So this is mandatory adjective. Yeah, mandative construction. Adjective verb or noun, mandative verb and mandative noun, mandative adjective, adjective, adjective. These are mandative. So mandative adjective. And this is typical subjunctive mandative or pure mandative or standard mandative. You've got to use plain form of a verb. And mandative, the second kind of mandative is should mandative. Should mandative is the second kind. Yeah, for this mandative content clause, you must use mandative verb. This is pure mandative verb. It can take these three kinds of mandative content clause. Subjunctive mandative, should mandative, and covert mandative. Covert mandative. So he is, yeah, just normal form of the verb. That's covert mandative. So you've got to be careful with this mandative adjective or mandative verb or mandative nouns can be put in the matrix. So that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. And no worry, in the future you will understand what is a content clause. More and more clear for you after the 40 minor videos of grammar trick number 13. So that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.